Hello, I'm Dustin Dye, and you're watching the only channel on YouTube that isn't hosted by ExpressVPN. Yet, ExpressVPN, if you're watching, I'll plug your product on every episode for the one-time low price of $500,000. Today's guest on the Anytime Show is Marcus Teoh, author of the best-selling business book, Now or Never. Thank you for being on the show today, Marcus.
Pleasure, and thank you so much for having me, Dustin.
I'm sorry I couldn't fly you out to be in the studio due to the pandemic, not because I don't have the funds. So let's just jump in. So you're the author of a best-selling book called Now or Never, is that right?
Yep.
Can you give me a copy of that?
All right. Here's yours.
All right. I got it. So this, I'm looking at the table of contents here. So with this zero-based Facebook marketing, what is that?
The zero-budget Facebook marketing is when we use Facebook as a personal profile. So we are not paying for ads at the moment, which is perfect for starters to learn how to understand the psychology behind social media marketing as a person. And there are so many tactics to drive traffic to our live events. So for example, if you have anniversary, you have birthdays, you post that, right? And then how do you link your life to your career or your business or even to your favorite charity organization?
So is it as effective now as when you started?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was discovered by accident. When I first started my business, I was selling handbags, branded handbags. So we imported handbags from Coach, Michael Kors from US, and some other brands from Europe. Once we bought the bags, we had no more money to market our business. And I figured that, hey, we have a lot of friends on Facebook. Why not invite them to our event? Hence, I use Facebook and then say, hey, I'm having an event. Come, let's drop by. And then that's how it got started.
And is it still, does it still work as good as it did when you started?
Now it's even better because everyone is so familiar with Facebook and social media, and thanks to the pandemic, everyone is on social media watching videos and doing things. And the power is people are more receptive to content online, and that's also how I got my book to be a best-selling book, by promoting it and not selling. So a lot of people make this mistake. They sell. So the difference is selling means I'm asking you, hey, Dustin, you want to buy this book, so I'm selling, right? But if I tell you, hey, Dustin, I'm writing this book, and then it's going to address your problems A, B, C, then high chance you ask me, wow, where can I buy it?
Well, I mean, you just tossed one through to me. It magically came from Malaysia all the way to my tar paper shack here in Kansas. Does the zero-based marketing work with other platforms that the kids are using these days, like the Snappy Chat or the Tickety Talk, whatever these kids are using?
Yes, because you are still dealing with human beings. At the end of the day, it's about psychology. So the word zero budget is just a catchy phrase. In fact, the essence of the art is marketing psychology.
Is that something you figured on your own? Because your background is in engineering, if I remember right.
IT, close.
Okay. So how did you discover this psychology, this marketing psychology?
I was just thinking as the other person, as the potential customer, if I see my friends selling stuff on Facebook, I don't think I would be that interested because I'm not ready to buy. So a lot of people think marketing is like sales. Actually, it's very, very different. Sale is like going to close it. But before that, marketing needs to happen. And I like to use this analogy, dating. So let's say we are both guys. We see this beautiful lady. If we want this lady to be our girlfriend, we want to kiss her. You don't start by kissing her, right? You have to ask her for her number, maybe add on Facebook, and then go for coffee, tea, and then lunch, dinner, and maybe that's the Asian way. Maybe in the US it's faster, it's quicker.
No, I just send some pictures through the DM, and that tends to get them.
Yeah, so the whole process is marketing, and then when your friends suddenly think of a problem that they need solution for, then they were like, "Oh, I remember you posting about this. Can you tell me more?" And then here the opportunity comes.
So you mentioned you had a lot of friends already on the Facebook, and that was how you were able to kind of snag them. But how did you get your platform to begin with?
It started with just having fun, just socializing. Before Facebook, we had MySpace, we had eCircles, and then we have other platforms. So I just hop onto it, and then the platform grew, and just sharing some motivational quotes because it's like a journal. When I first started, when I was down there, I would write some motivating quotes for myself. Eventually, some friends say, "Hey, I really like what you are sharing," and friends kept adding because it's very good to get connected. If not for Facebook, I don't think I would be still connecting with you right today. We've met each other for what, like few years now.
Yeah, I mean, for the people who are wondering how someone who lives in the woods in Kansas met someone who lives in the big city in Kuala Lumpur. I traveled there 3 times for work, and we met up each time. And you came to Kansas City to visit your old the town you used to live in a couple of years ago. So we've met a few times over the past 7 years, and we kept in touch, and throughout your whole book writing. And so yeah, I see you're very active on social media, and you have what I think you maxed out on the number of friends you could have on Facebook. You found out the limit.
Yep.
5,000
It's so cool. I could, 5,000. And I could see your lifestyle, your family, and then still be kept in touch with the happenings in Kansas City, which I really miss.
So your experience on the TV show is called Take Me Out.
Uh-huh.
And by take me out, it's like take me out on a date. Don't like take me out to the woods and finish me. So your experience on that show, did that help you at all in getting your name out there?
It was a very good experience because it's a reality TV game show and it's a dating game show where I had to face 30 single ladies. And when the host asked a question, I had to respond instantly. Hence, it is very, very nerve-wracking. But after I've gone through that, now if you put me into any situation, any platforms, I'm fine because nothing gets more nerve-wracking than that. And my intention to join the show was actually primarily for business more than for finding a love. Subsequently, I also found my partner back then from the show, and I got some business done. The funny thing was that because it's a show with a lot of ladies, so I just make an assumption that ladies want to buy handbags. But none of the ladies bought any handbags from me. Ended up one of the guys, the other single guy participant, his mom bought a lot of handbags from me. So it turned out pretty well.
so I guess it did work out. And
Yeah.
So how do you prepare to be on a dating show? Not that I'm planning to do that.
Well, you just have an open mind because they had auditions where you have to go and then share a few things about yourself. It's really good in a sense because I mean in our daily life we don't prepare much in how we introduce ourselves, but when you go to the audition, you will start to think, hey, is this going to be interesting enough to say, hi, I'm Marcus Teoh, I work in this company? That's too boring, right? Then you have to think of a way to introduce yourself in a very attractive and interesting way. So the producer will say, hey, I want you to be on my show. So back then I was a handbag seller, a guy who to him is something that's pretty interesting. So he asked, "Can you tell a female's personality based on their handbags?" So I know I had to say yes, and it's true. It's yes because I have to sell them handbags. I better know if this person is someone who's more conservative or more open. So I went and I got the opportunity, and from there I just get to know a lot of people and experience how a reality game show is done. A lot of things are staged.
Yeah, you're only the
Amazing.
you're only the second reality TV show winner I've had on the show, so I'd like to learn more. Um, so, what was it that that you thought made you win?
Okay. So it works this way. There are 30 ladies, and then you come out from the chamber, and then it's first impression. Then if the ladies like you, then they'll keep their lights on. Anyone who didn't think you are the suitable candidate, then she will turn off the lights. So as long as you have the lights remaining, that means you're still in for a date. So the second part is asking you about your career. And then third part was a performance. So that's three parts: first impression, career, and talent. And a lot of career, of course, some are doctors, some are entrepreneurs. You have all engineers, all kinds of different professions. And talent-wise, it's pretty interesting because some would do some magic show, singing, acting, poem, and then mine was telling a lady's personality from their handbag. So that was my show. I can't sing, I can't dance, right? What else can I do?
Well, that's something that's kind of out of left field. So, I mean, anyone can, put 10,000 hours into learning a guitar or some instrument, but knowing how to tell a woman's personality from a handbag, that takes, it's sixth sense. But let's back up a bit because,
Mhm,
so your background was originally in IT, and
mhm.
and now then you went from there to ladies' handbags um, into marketing. So just take us through that journey.
Sure. After I graduated from U of Missouri, Kansas City, came back, worked for a software company, two different companies, one from China and then one from the United States. And then I discovered that life is got to be more meaningful because I was put to work like 60 to sometimes even 70 or 80 hours a week when our project was in Vietnam. And that's when it made me think, do I want a life like this? And if I look at my bosses, so give me 5, 10 years, maybe I will be in their positions. Would I be happy? My answer was very clear. No, I don't want to be like them, solving software issues that I don't really care about. So I was starting to find ways to quit my job by doing something else. Started with selling gowns from China because our headquarters was in China. Then we bought gowns, sold in Malaysia, gained my experience, lost a lot of money. Not a lot. I mean, it's not too bad. A few $1,000, right? So it's bearable as a tuition fee. From gowns, then we moved to handbags because gowns it's difficult to get repeat orders when people just get married like once in their lifetime. So we changed from wedding gowns to handbags. Handbags was a good business back then because in Malaysia we didn't have any factory outlets. So what we bought from Macy's, Coach factory outlets, and then we bring them back to Malaysia, and then we could sell it with still a healthy margin. Eventually, there's factory outlets and there's our currency weakening and there's more people into the business. Then eventually I just changed. I went to lecture part-time in a university as a entrepreneurship development lecturer. And I found that I truly enjoyed teaching because when I received testimonials from my students, it's so touching when they say things like, wow, thanks to you, I know that now I have the ability to make money on my own. Thanks to your recommendation letter, I got a scholarship in this university in Australia. Or thanks for teaching me, and I had this job that I never thought I could get. So that really triggered me and asked myself, what do I want to do in life? Then once I left the university, I started my own training company teaching. And then that's about 5 years ago, 2015. Yeah. And from there, teaching how to start a business, and eventually I found that a more direct program is the zero budget based marketing program, because everyone needs sales and everyone prefers not to spend if they can, which is the right thing to do. So that's the first step, especially now if you're in e-commerce, you need traffic. If you are in business, or even if you're not in business, you need a job. Of course, you can have LinkedIn, but then it's personal connections that matters so much. And that's developed through Facebook. And as I progress, then things happen. When I switched to become a trainer, my business was horrible. You're new, right? So nobody's willing to pay you yet. So I did a lot of free talks, and business suffered, and relationship suffered as well. My relationship with my former fiance ended. And from there, I said, hey, I have to do something to bounce back up from rock bottom. And that's when I decided to write a book and be an author. And to my very pleasant surprise, within 10 months, it went to become the #1 book, weekly bestseller in MPH bookstore, the largest English bookstore chain in Malaysia. So it was top 10 for a total of 21 weeks, and miracles happened. The first time author's book, Now or Never, became the top 10 business nominee alongside Sir Richard Branson, Tony Robbins, Jack Ma, Robert Kiyosaki. So that was the highlight a few years back. 3 years back, 2017.
I see you're wearing a Facebook hat.
Oh, yeah.
Did you go to Silicon Valley?
Yes, I bought this hat there.
Did you get to visit the headquarters of any tech companies?
Yes, went to Facebook at Menlo Park, and then went to Google.
So, did they just let you in?
No. It's not so straightforward. Apparently, it's not like a Zappos. I think Zappos just welcome visitors, right? But Facebook, you need to have a reason to go in, and they were pretty strict. Thanks to a friend of friend, someone that I know, and she welcomed me as a personal guest. So she brought me around with my friend, and we just toured the company for about 45 minutes. She's using a lunchtime, so thankful that I have the chance, and bought some souvenirs. Learn about the culture, and it's just like a university campus, beautiful.
And what would it be like working there based on what you saw?
You feel young. You're surrounded by a lot of very young people, and food is provided, great food, international cuisine, and you have a place where you can build stuff, like build your own chairs, your like woodwork. It is very clean, and it's very relaxed, it seems, but according to my friend, it's not a relaxing environment. Like, everyone is expected to perform. They have their laundry, and some even, I think, try to stay there, but of course, it's not the norm. I believe if you work for Facebook, it's truly like a dream come true, because if you have a project you want to pursue, it's serving like a platform for you to pursue your dreams through employment.
So you found success as an entrepreneur, as a marketer, as an author. How do you recognize opportunities?
It's always based on two parts. One is the customer, the market side, and the other is our side. Because some people say, I want to do this business because I have the passion. But then again, is the market keen for your product or services? So it's very important to look at both demand and supply. And now it's the pandemic, so anything online has an edge over anything that's offline. Hence, we have to be sensitive enough to the environment and make changes extremely quickly, because now it's lockdown. If you are quick in making change, even though you are a small guy, you could beat the big guy, because they take ages to change, right? So many steps and cross policies and bureaucracies. So yeah, be open and try it. And then if it doesn't work, then at least you have tried.
So if someone has a house and a family, is it worth risking everything to start a business?
I wouldn't suggest to risk everything because, especially if you have a family to take care of, we are responsible for our family. I would say to take calculated risk. Uh, Having that said, I still know of stories where sometimes people had to risk it all because they had nothing left, and then they ended up becoming super successful. Uh, I don't think there's a straight cut or a fixed formula. It's really down to the person's uh, a bit of luck, but a lot of hard work and making things work. And I really believe that when we must make it work, it will happen. Just like my book, I must make it work. I signed a contract. I had no experience in publishing a book. I had a publisher, thanks to them, and I had no marketing budget. I was broke, right? And I didn't have connections to any superstars, celebrities, but my book kind of made it to level that many more established authors would also be happy to achieve. So I believe in really going all out. And when I say all out, back then I still remember, if you were to invite me to speak, I would tell you, sorry, Dustin, I have no time now. I had to finish my book. So focused that everything else is, sorry, not now, not now. The book, if it's not related to the book, don't talk to me yet. So eventually the book came out, and then I realized that, wow, that's the power of being extremely focused.
So how is the pandemic going in Malaysia?
Now this past two 3 weeks has been scary because we have hit the all-time high with more than 1,000 cases in Malaysia. Now we are under what we call a CMCO, Conditional Movement Control Order. The worst was in few months back where we have the movement control order, so we really couldn't go out back then. Just we could only go out to buy groceries. I think around March, April, May, somewhere around there. Now it's fine. Now you can go out if you have special reasons, and you can even travel to other states if you have very, very special reasons.
It sounds not too dissimilar to what's the experience here right now.
How is it like your side?
Yeah, where we are here in Kansas, it's things are open with some restrictions. You have to wear masks, social distance, and some places have curfews. So, I guess they thought you're more susceptible after 10 p.m. Some you can't travel anywhere in the country. Some places will say if you're coming from whichever jurisdiction, you need to quarantine for 2 weeks. Although there's no one enforcing it. They're not going around looking for people who haven't been inside for 2 weeks. But so it's kind of on the honor system, but it's not ideal. But it's it seems like we could kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel with the various vaccines coming down the line. But you're like the most positive person I know. So is that your character, or have you kind of trained yourself?
Well, I guess when you are in different kind of situations and looking at the most successful people around the world, they're always very, very positive, and they could see opportunities in disasters, in problems. Hence, I have made a conscious effort to be positive and see things from a more open and believe that when something bad happens, it is always something really, really good coming, because I've experienced that many, many times. When I got fired from the university. The new dean who came in said, hey, Marcus, I don't think you can run an entrepreneurship program like this, because you're supposed to have a fixed syllabus and you're supposed to do this, or you at least, be more structured. So I refused to follow, because I said, hey, in the real world, entrepreneurship is not structured. You can't dictate when your clients are not going to pay you, or you can't dictate what's going to happen next. And I applied this to my students where it's extremely unpredictable. So it's a university, I understand that. Then she had to do her job. So she said, thank you, Marcus. If we ever need you again, we'll let you know. So I was so mad, so angry, because I was doing well. The students loved me. Their grades were fine. They made money. And I felt like, doing my part. Then I realized that, never mind, maybe this is meant to happen so I can do something bigger. And true enough, then I started my training company. And then I wasn't tied to a university anymore. I wasn't just teaching university students, but now my customers are like companies, bosses of companies. And it just expanded there. And then from there, I could speak in major events with hundreds of people. So it's like a given thing. Like if you read stories of any very successful people, they always have their rock bottom times, and it's how they pick themselves up. And eventually today we see them where they are because they were so successful. They were so not successful, and then today they reach where they are from that moment.
I think my approach is the exact opposite. I'm the most negative person, but I think that kind of like braces me for like anything bad. So like there's a election doesn't go your way, or people are upset with whatever's going on in the world, or I'm just like, oh, I was already prepared for the worst. So, the fact that it didn't go as bad as I thought it could have is just like a relief. But I need to be,
Well,
I need to get more of the positive energy.
I think like that too. Just that I don't stay at that zone for very long. Like what's the worst that can happen? So when I quit my full-time job, I was like, the worst that can happen is I fail in my business. So I just find another job. It's not going to kill me, right? And then I don't say, hey, it hasn't happened yet, because if you believe in laws of attraction, if we focus on this part, then we'll be here. So instead we look up and say, hey, wow, I could be making this much. I could be doing this well. I could be meeting this amazing person, So that's there, but the focus is going to that direction. Then the energy is different, because are we trying not to fail, or are we trying to be winning big? So if we're trying not to fail, then yeah, we get what we wish for. We just won't fail, but we are still there. So now I'm getting bolder and bolder to say, hey, let's aim for the sky or even further. And then if we don't get it, then we are at the mountain.
I think that's good. I think maybe if someone needs to recognize the full range, maybe you see how bad it could get, but also see how good it could possibly be, and use the negative to motivate you to stay away from that, but also have a direction to go. I don't know. I'm just thinking, but
Yep.
I have to get out of the negative mode.
It's more exciting and more fun.
Nothing could be. I think nothing could be less fun than just being neurotic all the time. So a little controversy I want to clear up. I've heard your name pronounced Teoh and Teoh.
Mm-hmm.
Which one is correct?
Here it's normally Teoh.
Nope.
Teoh, but when I was in the States, normally they would call me Teoh. So the E has been removed when pronouncing my name.
No. Because I always thought it was Teoh, and then I heard someone say Teoh. I'm like, oh, it must be wrong. So what's next for Marcus Teoh?
What's next? Oh, okay. I'm ready to write my second book, and the title is pretty much firm. Very different from my first book, where the title only came much later. Second book is going to be called Condoms for Entrepreneurs: Zero Sales and Marketing Tactics and Ways to Protect Yourself in Business.
Yeah, you can't be spawning a bunch of little brats when you're trying to start a business. So Yeah, another way we're very different is your book is now or never, but this is the anytime show. So you're like, you have a sense of urgency, and I'm just like, hey, anytime, you know.
Nice.
Um, so I hope I see you again in KL someday when this whole pandemic is in the rearview mirror.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Likewise, I still miss Kansas City a lot. So hopefully, I could visit soon.
So it was good talking to you again.
Thank you so much for your invitation. It's an honor.